All right, guys. So I'm hearing that version 5.3, the conclusion of the Natlan Arc for Genshin Impact, is horrible. A lot of people are disappointed. They don't like the ending of Natlan, and I'm pretty much going to react to this content creator. Her name is Sorisness. I apologize if she's watching this video. I apologize. I don't know how to say this, but I wanted to watch a video. I wanted to watch a content creator's video who covers the game. I wanted to watch a video to understand why 5.3 sucks, because a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people saying that the story for 5.3 isn't even that good. It's mediocre. It's terrible. They don't like the ending. There's a lot of things that they don't like about it. But it wouldn't make sense for me to make a video saying 5.3 story is dog shit when I even play it myself. So I would rather react to another content creator, see what they have to say about this, and I'm also going to insert my opinions as well. And by the way, guys, I have good knowledge about the story. Conria, Celestia, um, the Fatui Harbingers, Teresa. I know the story pretty well. The only reason why one of the main reasons why I continue to play Genshin is because of the story. But I just got sick and tired of it because the quality of the story just declined. It got worse and worse. The storytelling is horrible, the unnecessary dialogue, and of course, the devs just not listening to the community, just making the game worse. That's one of the main reasons why I just gave up. I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this game. 5.2 is like my last update. So let's go ahead and put this in full screen. Let me fix this real quick. All right, here we go. All right, let's react to this.
This whole region has been a roller coaster for me. Even before 5.0 dropped, I had gone from excited by our first glimpse of the Saurians, to underwhelmed by the character reveal trailer, then to even more excited after the livestream blew me away. And while I have my complaints about some aspects of the story leading up to the finale, especially the interlude quest, for me, the first 4 acts as a whole did a pretty good job at delivering on the promise of the new region. The world quests were fantastic, and I loved the ambient quests. I was so excited for the finale. It felt like it was poised to be one of the best Archon quests so far. Instead, Act 5 left me feeling even more frustrated than Meripede. How did it all go so wrong? Before we get into this, it's worth noting that perspectives on stories are always varied. My favourite parts of the story will be some other people's least favourites, and things I couldn't stand will be the aspects which made others love it. That's
Give
a
me
good thing,
just
and
one
I love
moment. My
hearing
mouse
different
is literally not
perspectives. As
working.
long as it doesn't devolve into a flame war, a good discussion about what led to people's divergent feelings can be fascinating. So please, bear that in mind when you get to the parts where you inevitably disagree with me. I'm not saying your perspective is wrong, so don't at me. And of course,
You see, and that's the thing too. It's like it's so sad how a content creator making a video expressing why they don't like the story, like she literally put in her title, "Why it didn't work for me." This is her just sharing her honest thoughts on the 5.3 story quest. It's crazy how people will go out and attack you for making a video as if to why you don't like the story or why you don't like the game. It's fucking insane. It's actually crazy. Like when I made that video saying why I don't like Genshin Impact, I literally had people coming after me saying, "Oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The game is amazing. Delete this video." It's insane, bro. It's crazy. But let's continue.
this video will contain spoilers for each act of the Archon quest as part of each section, though I'm going to keep it very high level. Natlan's trailers left me feeling unconvinced, but the livestream completely changed my mind, and by the time 5.0
Yes, we got to talk about the trailers, guys. I don't know. It's like compared to every other nation, right? I will say Inazuma is where the game fell off for me. That's when the game fell off. Fontaine gave me some hope, right? It gave me some hope because the story was actually pretty decent in Fontaine. But Natlan, I don't know, man. Like compared to every other nation in the game, Inazuma, Sumeru, Fontaine, Mondstadt, Leeway, it's like I feel like Natlan is just so out of touch. It feels too modern, right? You got motorcycle, like the Pyro Archon is driving a motorcycle. She has a helmet. I don't know, man. It just feels weird, bro. It feels weird. It doesn't feel like I'm playing Genshin anymore. Like it just feels weird. Like her bike turns into a jet ski. She flies with the bike. You got Chaska who's riding a fucking gun. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just weird. It really is weird. And when it came to the Pyro Archon's trailer, a lot of people didn't like her trailer because her trailer didn't feel like an Archon trailer. When we look at Zhongli's trailer, one of the best trailers in the game, and I agree, Zhongli's trailer is fucking badass. Raiden Shogun is also really good as well. Venti's was also pretty cool. It's like every trailer it pretty much synchronized with the character's personality. It synchronized with them being like the god of that specific element, right? Venti being the god of freedom. You can see in his trailer, you feel that he's free in that trailer. Right in Shogun, Eternity, right? Zhongli contract. It's like for each trailer, it's very unique for each archon, but they represent who they are and they represent the element they are a god of. Meanwhile, for Mavuika's trailer, I don't know, man. It just seemed weird, bro. Like it's like I went and I saw a concert. Like I'm watching a music video instead of a trailer for a god. Now I know that she's a human, but seeing that she's singing like a microphone, like you got characters on the drums. I don't know, man. It just seemed fucking weird to me, bro. For an Archon, it seemed fucking weird. Let's continue.
5.0 came around, I was so ready to dive in, and I was not disappointed. Acts 1 and 2 were centered around the annual pilgrimage, which the warriors of Natlan take part in. The pilgrimage is a tournament, and the winners gain the honor of traveling to the different dimension called Night Kingdom to fight back the Abyss in defense of their nation. I found this part of the story pretty entertaining overall, very much helped by the fact that I liked Kachina a lot, since the whole story focused on her. She has a satisfying character arc. She starts off racked with self-doubt, unsure why she has been chosen to
My
bear an
apologies,
ancient
guys. I
name, and
apologize.
abandoned by her teammates. Molani steps in to help her out, and eventually, Kachina wins her place in the pilgrimage via grit and determination. The tournament arc was a fun experience. The pacing was pretty great for the most part, the cutscenes were amazing, and when Kachina ends up...
When it came to the pacing, like, it's been, okay, the last time this was in 5.0 when we were talking with Kachina. I'll say the pacing was pretty good. It was decent. It's just that we were focusing way too much on Kachina, and I feel like 5.0, like part one, like I'll say Act 1 was mostly Kachina. Act 2 was, I think, rescuing Kachina. So I'll say, Act 1 and 2, it wasn't that bad. They were pretty decent. But still, though, it's like the nation itself. I just feel like Natlan is just underwhelming compared to every other nation we've been to. Which nation is worse, Inazuma or Natlan? Me personally, I'm gonna have to say story-wise, Inazuma is worse. Guys, Inazuma was a fucking joke. That was not a war. But when it comes to exploration, Inazuma is way better because the way that the devs executed Natlan's exploration is just so fucking scummy. They made the exploration annoying on purpose so that you summon 4 Natlan characters. And sure, you can use the little dinosaurs, the little dragons, or whatever. You can transform into them, and travel. But still, though, the exploration still it feels pretty terrible because the dragons, the amount of energy the dragon uses is too much, and they're slow as fuck. And when it comes to Mavuika, it's like she can pretty much do everything that the other characters can do. Jet ski, flying, climbing up walls, like Jalonin, whatever you say her name, with the skater girl, the skater girl, whatever. Actually, no, leopard girl. It's like it was just weird the way that they executed the exploration for Natlan. How in order for you to travel, in order for you to traverse through Natlan's terrain, you would have to use Natlan characters in order for you to feel the experience, like in order for you to feel satisfied. I don't know, man. It's just fucking weird, man. It's really weird.
Stranded in the Night Kingdom, surrounded by enemies with no way to escape, I was fully on board with the mission to rescue her. My only real complaints at this point were that, as usual, the denouement was far too long. Much of the world building didn't really hold up to scrutiny, though it was interesting enough that I kinda gave it a pass. And it was also a little odd that Capitano just gave up on getting the Gnosis after a single fight. One detail which stuck out to me was that it felt refreshing that Mavuika was more approachable right from the start and openly shared her plans with the Traveler and Paimon. At this point, it makes a lot.
Now, I will say, this fight was really, really good. That's one of the main reasons why I was hyped for Natlan Arc, because of this fight right here. If we're gonna see fight like this, like animations like this, cutscenes in the story for Natlan, then I'm all here for it. But I think this was the only hype part, to be honest. Like, I think this was the only hype part of the Natlan story quest, and everything after that, it just felt mediocre.
Makes a lot of sense for their reputation to precede
This was a
them
good
through
fight.
open
I made a
doors
whole
like this,
reaction
and it
reacting
felt
to
like a
this
nice subtle way to
on my
show
second
that they
channel.
now see you as an important figure in the world. Act 3 started off with the Traveller and Shilonen working together, trying to forge an ancient name so that the Traveller can be revived by the Ode of Resurrection if they die in the Night Kingdom, making it safe for them to join Mavuika on her quest to destroy the Abyss once and for all. They rope in the help of Citlali, who sends them off on a further side quest.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started with Citlali and whoever this guy is, Auron. I forgot to say how to say his name. Bro, the fucking yapping between both of them, I get it. She's like she's like his she's like his mom or grandma or whatever, right? She's like his guardian. But the constant nagging between Citlali and this character, it was just annoying because it would interrupt important parts of the story. He would just yell at Auron over something stupid. It's like, bro, holy shit. Can we get back to the main topic here? I don't That part was really annoying, man. How she kept fucking yapping, bro.
Quest to clear Auron's name, and even though I liked Auron and always have time for Capitano, going on a side quest to a side quest to a side quest just
Yes.
didn't hit the spot for me.
Like, we had to do a side quest to get Auron. Like, I don't know, bro. It was just weird, man. A whole side quest just to get another character. It was just they kept dragging it, right? They kept dragging it. I don't know.
After all that, there was another side quest, this time involving Chaska and Koichi, and my main memory of that section was an intrusive thought that Koichi was definitely going to die at some point before we leave Natlan. While this act felt bland in comparison to Acts 1 and 2, and I didn't really find it.
And before I have anybody come into the comment section saying, you wanted characters to die, well, Chaska's sister died, Capitano died. Listen, here's the thing. First of all, Chaska's sister, NPC, not even playable. Capitano, not even playable. He's dead. I said playable characters, right? Playable characters. And it's pretty obvious that when we take a look at Genshin, if a character is dead, unplayable. Senora, unplayable. Capitano, he's fucking dead. Unplayable. So it's like, I don't know. And the way that they executed these deaths, like we look at Senora, we didn't know too much about her at all. I think we know about her backstory, but other than that, it's like we didn't really get much from her. Instantly died. Capitano appeared in 5.0, got his fight, disappeared, came back into 5.1 to talk to Auron, whatever. Talked to the Traveler for like, a couple minutes, disappeared again. 5.2, I don't know if he appeared or not. I have no idea. And then 5.3, dead. It's like, that's the story for the number one of the Fatui Harbingers. That's the story for him. He appears for like two or three updates and he's gone. I don't know, man. It's just
Any of it particularly engaging, I couldn't help
number
but
one
keep
of the
comparing it
Fatui
to
Harbinger
Fontaine's Act
guys,
3, which was such
and he's
a
dead.
pain to grind through that Natlan's filler act felt perfectly adequate in comparison. Act 4 began with a side quest which I legitimately remembered as the climax of Act 3 instead until I went back and fact-checked this video. We infiltrate a cave system, and after some shenanigans involving Auron being possessed by a vengeful spirit, we prevent Capitano from carrying out his own plan to save Natlan from the Abyss. He wanted to destroy and reconstruct the ley lines, which would have solved the Abyss problem for now, at the cost of wiping the memory and personality of every person in all of Natlan. This felt like the seeds of a really interesting story to me. Capitano and Mavuika have the same goal.
Now, me personally, for this scene right here, I think I remember this scene. This scene felt underwhelming because I feel like they should have put a cut scene for this part. Like Capitano, I forgot what he was gonna do. He was gonna do something with the ley lines, and we had to stop him. Instead of them showing like a little cut scene to show what happens or like a fight, it was just us pretty much talking to him. It was just us having a conversation. I don't know, man. It just felt weird. And then the Traveler just went up and just stopped whatever he was doing. Like, I don't know, bro. Tell me in the comment section what you guys think. But I feel like this part of the story, I feel like they should have executed it a lot better by implementing a cutscene, by showing a fight, because he's about to do something with the ley lines, which is huge. Just putting dialogue in the bottom. They are important. Like, the dialogue was important, but you know, summarizing this cutscene, not cutscene, but summarizing this segment of the story with just dialogue, I feel like a cutscene would have been better.
Goal, but they disagree on how to achieve that goal. Capitano's plan is reliable but has a steep cost, while Mavuika's is risky and uncertain but would not involve such sacrifice. Exactly the kind of core conflict which can make for a compelling story. He seems to take it with a shrug, however, and is oddly friendly with the other characters once his original plan is thwarted. And then the Abyss invades Natlan. The remainder of Act 4 was brilliant. I loved so much about it. They really tried to make this feel different, impactful, and for once, our actions had some consequences which made them feel important. The whole war sequence felt so exciting. I felt genuine pressure to make quick decisions and rush towards objectives in the hopes of saving people. For once, I was the one pushing forwards, rather than some characters saying, "We need to rush," while they all just stand around and talk. I particularly liked how with every choice you made, you saved some people and you lost some others. For me, this emphasized that in war, nobody wins, and no matter
Yeah, I will say for the Natlan War, it was definitely an improvement from the Inazuma War because the Inazuma War was a complete joke. But the Natlan War was definitely an improvement, but there were some parts where I was like, yeah, this is kind of weird. When we were on the hot air balloon, right? It took a long time for us to get to the battlefield. It took us a long time. I would just sit there, put my controller down, and I'm just like, all right, it would be like 2 minutes. It was actually pretty long, bro, in order for us to get to a specific location. It was I don't like that part. When it comes to characters dying, now once again, not playable characters, NPCs. That part, sure, that was pretty good. Them showing that characters were dying, NPCs were dying, sure. But overall, it's like once again, I just feel like if a playable character were to die in this war, right? If a playable character were to die, let's say Molani, for example, any character, I feel like it would have impacted the story a lot more because we know the character. The character has a story quest, right? We know the character. So making that playable character die impacts the story a lot more. And I feel like it will pretty much make the traveler, it will motivate the traveler to do more. It will motivate the traveler to help the people of Natlan win against the Abyss. But once again, it's just my personal opinion. I just feel like they should, when it comes to war arcs in any anime, you got to lose some characters, man, to make it feel important. You got to lose some characters to make it seem as if the situation is actually dire, right? we look at we look at Demon Slayer, for example. I want to bring up Demon Slayer. You got Mugen Train. If you didn't watch Demon Slayer, spoiler alert. But for Mugen Train, you got Rengoku fighting against Akaza, right? Upper Moon 3. They're gassing up Akaza, right? Not gassing up Akaza, but they've been gassing up the 12 demons. They've been gassing up the Upper Moons for the entirety of season 1. Gassing them up, saying that these niggas are strong as hell. It would be kind of embarrassing for them to bring in Upper Moon 3 to fight against a Hashira, and Rengoku instantly kills Upper Moon 3. It's like, all right, at this point, Upper Moon 2, 1, they're pretty much going to be easy to deal with, and Upper Moon 4, 5, and 6 are also going to be really easy to deal with if Rengoku was able to defeat Upper Moon 3. But the fact that Rengoku died against Upper Moon 3 and he wasn't even trying against him, it just shows how serious the Upper Moons really are. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like killing off a character that we know, that we have a connection with, impacts the story in a good way. Because now you're like, all right, now I'm invested. There are now consequences in the story. So therefore, I want to pay attention. That's the way I see it. But let's continue.
no matter what you do, people suffer. It's interesting looking back at it. Objectively, there's little difference in how the gameplay worked compared to previous stories. Each section was a simple fight and then some chatting to NPCs afterwards, but something about the way it was framed just made it work so well for me. I know some people who just did not get into it at all, but for once, I found myself gripped even by the conversations with random NPCs and felt emotional about their plight. Even more impactful was the horrible moment when I thought Toto had died, which almost brought me to tears, only to find out that she was injured but would be okay, which really did make me cry from pure relief. I can understand why this whole act would fall flat for people who didn't really get into it, but for me it was brilliant. The cutscenes especially were absolutely epic and felt like a true climax. Unlike certain other cutscenes from earlier in the game, it felt like a real battle instead of a handful of people play acting. Koichi's death felt impactful despite me seeing it coming a mile away, and that scene of the aftermath with the list of names of people who died was touching too. Even though they were NPCs you knew nothing about, it felt like it had meaning. The only thing which spoiled that feeling a little was the fact that all of Natlan was back to normal straight away. Given that there would be an interlude quest before the finale, I would have hoped for some lasting effect.
Yeah, that part I definitely agree with her. It's like after, the war segment of the story, um, sunshine and rainbows, as if nothing happened. Sure, um, there were some tribes that were, destroyed and therefore they have to rebuild it. I'm pretty sure that's what happened in 5.2. You were pretty much rebuilding these tribes, but it still felt, weird how like after the war, sunshine and rainbows, right?
Effects which we could
I'm pretty
maybe
sure they're gonna
clean
show
up
it right
before the
here.
final act, but sadly, this was not to be. Overall, to me, Act 4 felt like the climax of the
Yeah,
story.
it just felt like nothing really serious happened. That's the way I feel.
If that had been the end of the Natlan arc, then for the most part, I'd have been very happy. Several key plot threads are left dangling, but they could have been tied up without an extra act, and this would have been an incredible climax. Next, the interlude. Thankfully, this was pretty short, because while I love the intent, the
Now me, I didn't play this. I think this was in version 5.2. I didn't play this. This is when I just stopped playing the game. And that's when I started going, that's when I've been started going crazy on Hoyoverse, just straight up criticizing the fuck out of them. But I didn't play the interlude quest. I'm pretty sure for the interlude quest, you're focusing on rebuilding the tribes after the war. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I didn't play through it, so I don't know what the hell was going on.
execution was awful. This part of the story aims to show the aftermath of the
Wait, what did
war,
she
as
say?
if the interlude. Thankfully, this was pretty short, because while I love the intent, the execution was awful. This part
Yeah, I'm glad. Something told me to not play this shit, and thank God. The fact that she said it's not good, yeah, that shit was definitely trash, bro. So I mean, once again, whenever I see interlude, I don't immediately assume it's gonna be bad. But whenever I see interlude, it means that like it's gonna be pretty short but concise. But the fact that she said it's horrible maybe has something to do with the storytelling. Let's find out.
This part of the story aims to show the aftermath of the war, as Eon-san and the Traveler tried to help several people struggling with something akin to horrifically acute PTSD. But this representation of mental illness and healing is so bad that I struggle to express how far from reality it is. If we could solve mental illness in 5 minutes by constructing one specific scenario which snaps the victim out of it, then the world would be a much more wonderful place. But sadly, that is just not it. While I thought this quest was absolutely awful, the patch brought Oknatlan with its fantastic world quest, which sucked me in and felt very engaging. So despite my disappointment in the interlude itself, I ended up still anticipating what the final act of the Archon quest would bring. And then came the finale. Act 5 kicked off with an ominous dream, which could have been the perfect way to start building up the tension. Instead, the next hour of this quest was pure filler. The Traveler and the
And that's what I said. You see, people, that's what some of these Genshin players don't understand, bro. When we say that the storytelling is dog shit, we're not saying this because we hate the fucking game. It's true, right? It's true. Look at Wuthering Waves 2.0. I made a whole video talking about, you know, my first impressions with the new location of Renacita and the new story. The reason why a lot of people love 2.0, the reason why Wuthering Waves 2.0 is a complete banger is because there are no filler in the main story quest. When you go into the story quest, the main story quest for Renacita, the new region, it's literally you focusing on the main issue. There's no side quest, there's no filler, and that's one of the main issues I had with Genshin. That's one of the biggest things I don't like about this game is the fact that whenever you're progressing in the main story quest, they would make you do these tasks that have nothing to do with the actual quest. Like they make you do these things that don't correlate to the Archon quest, and it's just annoying. And that's why I say the storytelling for Genshin Impact is complete dog shit. But I will also say that the story fell off after Inazuma. It fell off. It got a little bit better for Fontaine, but then it went back to the bottom for Natlan. So the story is also pretty fucking shit, to be honest. That's my opinion. But the storytelling, I'm sorry, guys, this is not an opinion. The storytelling is complete shit. It is terrible. They make you do all these things that are completely unnecessary. It's ridiculous. And that's why we say we need a skip button, bro. Because if there was a skip button, how much you want to bet she would not complain about this part of the quest if there was a skip button? Because it's not related to the main story. So why the fuck should we go through this?
the Natlan cast set up a party together and then stand around chatting. It was probably supposed to create a sense of community and show that they all have vibrant lives with real friendships, something notably lacking in the earlier Natlan quests, but it just did not work for me when introduced this late on into the story. I usually enjoy the parts of the story where the characters kick back and relax together, but unfortunately the timing and sheer length of this section killed it for me. I went in expecting,
Like, I'm pretty sure for this part, you're about to go back to the Abyss with Mavwika to go, do round 2 or complete, not complete, but finish off the Abyss, right? But instead of them doing that, instead of them actually making a plan as to what's going to happen, they're sitting here partying, talking, chatting. It's fucking crazy, bro. The
something
storytelling
more
is
like
shit.
Act 4, with tension from the start building up to an epic climax, but instead, there was just so much empty dialogue. I was not enjoying myself. The next section lasted almost another hour, and again, just did not work for me. After a
Like,
little
look at this part. Let's go back.
the next
Just look at this
section
part.
lasted almost another.
Hey, remember when you first arrived in Natlan? It was still light out and we traveled on this road together.
Oh my god, bro.
That's what the fuck I'm talking about. It's like they bring up the past, they talk about all these things. I'm like, yo, just take me to the final boss so we can get this shit over with. Just take me to the final boss so we can get this shit over with, bro. It's just the unnecessary yapping, man. It's insane. It's insane.
Another hour, and again, just did not work for me. After a little walk around Natlan with
Like, look at
Katrina,
this.
during which we give human medicine to a baby saurian, like that's totally something which would work and is not concerning at all. The traveler finds Shilonin and Sitlali, and they make their way into the wilderness to test whether the traveler's new ancient name has properly connected to their soul. After Shitlali very rudely pushes Paimon aside, the ancient name passes the test. But the process attracts many lost souls, and Zitlali and Shilonin do the exact thing I hate so much, which Hoyo had avoided so brilliantly in Act 4. They spend literally 20 minutes wasting time with inane conversations about how this is unexpected, and they need to rush in order to save these souls, but woe is me, they cannot save.
Once again, poor storytelling. And a lot of people brought a good point in the comment section. The reason why they put this unnecessary dialogue is because of playtime. They don't generate revenue off of playtime. It's mostly off the gacha system. But, the devs believe that the more you play the game, the more you go through our story, the chances of you summoning for these characters, spending money to get these characters is more likely, which is fucking delusional because the story, me personally, is fucking dog shit. But the storytelling, the reason why they made it dog shit on purpose is so that more playtime equals you spending money to get these characters. That's what they believe.
Save all of them, only the ones who are more recent. Absolutely anything to stop them from actually doing the thing they're talking about, and it absolutely drove me up the wall. Even the part with the baby saurian's grandparents fell completely flat for me, with its complete lack of urgency and the ever-present aversion to subtext. This could have been a really touching moment, built on some interesting world building and great character moments, but instead, I was just so frustrated. By this point, I was unfortunately really not enjoying the quest, so all of it.
And that's the thing too. It's like what makes it what's really sad is the fact that they will put all this unnecessary dialogue at the beginning of the fucking quest. They will put all the yapping. Most of these quests, they start off with you going to Catherine in the Adventurers Guild, and she has like some sort of commission for your mission. You go there, and that's how the story fucking starts. That's how they start off their acts or chapters most of the time. But bro, the amount of fucking yapping that you have to go through just to get to the main point is just tiring. And by the time you reach a point in the story where, yes, it's important, this part is important, I'm already fucking tired, bro. Like, I'm already fed up. Like, I don't have the energy to even, I just don't have the energy to even be interested because you guys already drained me out with all this fucking yapping. And once we get to an important part of the story, and I'm just like, I don't even fucking care. That's literally Genshin Impact in a nutshell. That's the story. That's literally the story. Yapping for 2 hours straight, and then the last 30 minutes is the actual main story. It's fucking insane.
All of its flaws just stuck out to me horribly. The kinds of details which I can usually just shrug off and push into the background were a lot harder to ignore. The awkwardly small crowds in the overlarge arena, the painfully slow sections where the travelers.
You see this part right here too. It's like they make you. This is one thing I also dislike when they make the traveler walk so fucking slow just to get to the waypoint. You guys can see the location that the traveler has to go to, 63 meters 63 meters away. He has to get there, right? Walking in fucking slow motion. And it's like, oh my gosh, bro. This is exactly what they did for the hot air balloon. It took us like 2 minutes to get to the battlefield and continue on with the quest. It's like the pacing is just shit.
Strolls past the adoring people, the lack of compelling dialogue, I was glad that this section was at least much shorter. Once we get into the Night Kingdom itself, we have a couple of fights playing as Mavuika before she runs across her long-lost sister, and the two of them are oddly cheerful. Again, there's no sense of urgency from Mavuika, but even weirder was that neither of them seemed all that affected at finally talking to one another after 500 years apart. Maybe there's some explanation for this in her story quest, but this was utterly bizarre to me. We then swap over to the Traveler, who fights some more Abyss enemies, and is this time joined by the spirits of characters from previous quests in the region. I like this callback to some of the memorable NPCs from Natlan, and I'm glad to see them tie the world quest into the main story. Despite that nice touch, and the section which follows, where the heroes of old step forth to see us on our way while the Sealies come to light our path, unfortunately even this felt like it was trying to be dramatic, but just didn't land for me. I can imagine it felt amazing to people who were invested in the story at this point, but for people who aren't, it just falls apart. That was followed by probably my favourite section of Act 5. As we get closer to our destination, we in 12 different types of Saurian, weaving our way past obstructions, zipping through a hail of meteors, and then sailing the Spirit Way while being bombarded by the enemy. This was engaging.
Now, I'll admit, this looks cool.
A hail of meteors and then sailing
This
the
definitely looks
Spirit Way
cool.
while being
You got the Abyss
bombarded
up
by the
there.
enemy.
That looks
This
cool.
was engaging, varied, and felt like an actual action scene with proper tension and challenge. The cinematography here was particularly good. Proof that Genshin can
Yeah,
hit right
it
when
definitely
it
looks good.
matters. The cutscene which followed was beautifully animated and must have been utterly hype for people.
Oh, Traveler using an element. About fucking time. Holy shit, bro. Hydro for the first time. This is the first time we've seen Traveler use Hydro element in a cutscene. Wow. Now all you have left is Dendro. You still haven't used that yet. Electro, used it. I don't remember the last time she used Electro. Probably the last time she used Electro, the Traveler, was in Sumeru, I think. I don't fucking know. But Hydro, never fucking used that element ever. Never used it. It's insane. Like, it's crazy how she never used Hydro and Fontaine. Like, what the fuck, bro?
We're into it, but after feeling like everything so far was such a slog, it just lacked enough spark to get me invested in the end. The battle against Gosoithoth was a little bit awkward too. Just before the fight, the Traveler resonates with Pyro for the first time, but I sure as heck am not going to take a moment to read through a character's kit before continuing. As a result, my attention ended up split 3 ways during the first half of that fight. All at once, I was trying to get the hang of what is effectively a brand new character, figure out the mechanics of a brand new boss fight.
Is that a different weapon?
What is effectively a brand new character.
About
figure out
fucking time. Game's still dog shit. But hey, like I said, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. Using a different fucking weapon besides a 1-star weapon. Holy shit, now they needed to do this consistently. But that's not gonna happen.
Brand new boss fight and pay attention to the dialogue from several characters, which was happening all at the same time. And then, just when I was getting the hang of it, it cuts to Mavuika, who walks very slowly up her rainbow roads once again. There are few things I hate more than sections of a story which could have been fine as a cutscene, but instead you just have to press a button to make your character.
I feel like for this part with Mavuika, when she's walking slow on this little rainbow road, I think this part is really annoying. Let me know in the comment section down below. I think this part is really annoying because, one, she's walking very slow, and it's really just you walking past by all these shadows or whatever. And let's be honest, guys, you really just want to get to the end so that you can continue the story. Let's be honest, because I didn't really care. And that's what I mean, the unnecessary yapping, bro. Unnecessary yapping. Let's continue the main story.
To slowly walk forward. It's bad enough even at the best of time, but in the middle of a climactic battle? Just why? After a leisurely stroll, we get another cutscene, again beautifully animated, but this one was even more of a miss for me. Natlan's flame goes out and the crowd watching the stadium all come together to sing their support, which brings it back to life again. To me, this felt really disconnected from the action. There was zero question that the Traveler and Mavuika were at risk of failing at this point, so why would the flame go out? Either way, the traveler hears their voices, and the pair of them draw Mavuka's flaming sword and go back to battle. The next section of the fight had the same issue as the first one, this time trying to figure out how to combine Pyro Traveler and Mavuka in battle while understanding more boss mechanics, while trying to keep track of the dialogue at the same time. It just felt a bit disorienting. We then hear the words our friends said about us, and wield the sword of friendship 3 times to smite the dragon.
The power of friendship. So I knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. What, like I said, Natlan just feels like fucking Disney. It feels like Disneyland, bro. The power of friendship. I'm just sick and tired of the same format for every story. I'm sick and tired of the same fucking thing. The power of friendship. Bro, we need something different, man. I'm sorry. We need something different. It's getting old. Power of friendship. Come on, bro. We did this for I think Sumeru, right? With Scarmooch, power of friendship. What else? For Natlan? Nah, I don't think Natlan did a power of friendship. It took the whole nation to actually work together so that they can overcome the conflict that they were facing. Inazuma, power of friendship. Like every fucking time, dude, it's the same shit. Power of friendship, bro. The only nations that didn't do this were Leeway, right? Leeway, Fontaine, maybe I'll say Mondstadt. Nah, Mondstadt. I think Mondstadt definitely had power of friendship, but nations like Inazuma, Natlan, Sumeru, power fucking friendship, man.
Dragon from the sky. 2 people wielding one sword in a dramatic pose over and over felt rather goofy to me. This was another point where I can see what they were trying to do and why it must have felt amazing to some people, but it just didn't work for me at all. The lack of any moment of fear, any time where it felt like we were at risk of failing, and any payoff to all the time spent forging an ancient name so that the traveler could be resurrected if things went wrong, kept me feeling disconnected from the story even at its climax, and then it was over so quickly. After one final cutscene showing them defeating the dragon, Mavuka's motorbike appears out of nowhere. Note that it has not previously shown up on screen in the quests, and
The
they
fuck did that
ride
come
back to
from?
Natlan together. Special mention to my other favorite moment of this whole act, Paimon and Traveler getting in a really good hug. The next section was a celebration of the Traveler's victory, which felt like it was never going to end. It makes sense that the people of Natlan would want to celebrate with their new hero, but it felt so drawn out. This is one of the times that I really think would have been better served by the thing they sometimes do, where they display a sequence of photos showing snapshots of things that happened and then summarize what went on. It was weird that nobody noticed Mavuka's absence though. The selfies and the autographs were a bit much, and the dance part in particular was just incredibly awkward.
Okay, that looked cringy as fuck. But can the traveler actually wear this in game? Somebody let me know in the comment section down below. Can the traveler actually wear this crown or whatever in game? Because for Wuwa, the MC has this little mask, and you can actually put it in game. You can choose to take it off or put it on whenever you want. So if you can't put this on in game, holy shit, bro.
But this section was at least partially redeemed for me
Okay,
by
she has
all
it on
80
in game.
Saurians. I really hope that all
But
this
can you
makes
actually
some
leave it
people
on?
feel loved and appreciated, but for many of us who don't really view the Traveler as a self-insert, it sadly just does not work. And before the story can finally
Nah,
be
she has it
over,
off.
there's
Oh
one
my
last
gosh,
thread to
bro.
tie off. Zitlali
Not
finally
surprised.
notices that Mavuka's missing, and they realize that she has gone to talk to the ruler of death to pay the final price for her original deal. She intends to sacrifice herself to restore the Night Kingdom to its original state. They track her down to Oknatlan, which now has a red sky with the creepy red eyes of Renova watching from above, and they try to persuade her that it has to be another way, that she should not sacrifice herself, and that she deserves a place in the future that she built with her people. As their not-so-brief debate draws to a close, Capitano shows up, and it turns out that he wants to take Mavuka's.
So much fucking potential for this character, man. So much potential thrown in a fucking trash can. Introduced him 5.0 and just threw him in the trash can in 5.3. Some people liked the way Hoiverse concluded his story. Maybe he might return. I don't know. I don't care. But it's just crazy to me how number one of the Fatui Harbinger, we were looking forward to this character, Capitano. Everybody was looking forward to this guy, him being playable, right? Number one of Fatui Harbinger, like the way that they gas up these Harbingers, the top 3, because they said that the top 3, they can keep up with Archons, right? They can actually battle Archons. They made it seem as if, you know, these characters are goated. But like I said, it gives me like Upper Moon vibes in Demon Slayer. But we're not even in Hanria yet, and number one of the Fatui Harbinger is already fucking dead. It's insane. It's like imagine Kokushibo, right? Kokushibo, he dies in season 2. That's how it feels like. The pacing is just shit. And the way that they, you know, conclude some of these stories, I don't know, man. It's just poor. And the fact that he's not playable, bro. Oh, goodness gracious, man.
his place, and that this was what he wanted all along.
So
And of
much
course, nobody
potential.
objects to this at all, so he just dies. The animation for Capitano's final moment is, as always, utterly gorgeous, but I couldn't help but feel even more frustrated. Here was yet more proof that Hoyo can tell a succinct and moving story with impeccable timing. They just don't
Yep.
put the effort into it 99% of the time. Q even
Thank you. Thank you. That's literally what I said. They don't put in effort, bro. Not, I'll say like 80%, or even I'll say 80% of their quests is just fucking yapping, you doing side quests, and then a 20% is a fucking cutscene or fight, and that's it. That's all you get. And then they give you some lore in some parts, and that's the quest. That's the entirety of the quest. The storytelling is just shit. It's shit. The format is terrible. And yeah, like the way that they concluded his story, man, the way that they concluded this character, number one of the Fatui Harbinger, gone, just like that, gone. And it's pretty obvious that he didn't appear throughout the entirety of Act 5. It seems like he didn't appear at all. He only appeared, I think, right at the beginning and then right at the end. Like, you guys see what I'm talking about? It's like they barely give him any screen time, right? They don't give him any sort of screen time, but then dead. At the end of the quest, he's gone. I don't know, bro. It's
even
bad,
more
bro. This is
talking
bad.
about this, during which we're told that he hasn't slept for 500 years and has lived a life of never-ending torture. Kinda like Furina in some ways, except that none of this was shown on screen and none of it shows up in his characterization up to this point. After that, all that was
Show, don't tell. Once again, show, don't tell. This is what I said in my video when I was criticizing the game. For Inazuma, they said, yeah, 200 people died last week. We're not gonna show you, but yeah, 200 people died last week. I'm sorry, like, if I don't see it, I don't give a fuck, bro. I just don't care. Sure, it happened, but like, in order for people to actually engage with the story, you have to show them. You have to show them what happened. You can't just make a character yap and say, yeah, this is what happened, this is what happened, and then I just click next and I move on. It's just not that effective. A cutscene showing what actually happened, right, makes it a lot more effective. And of course, the pacing has to be good. So, once again, show, don't tell.
was left with some more speeches and then a street entertainer telling children the story
Actually, show and tell. Yeah, both of them together. Show and tell.
we just played through just to make sure we didn't miss anything. I've seen a bunch of discussions online where anyone who disliked the final act was dismissed as someone who was critical of Natlan from the start, or a hater who was determined to dislike it without even giving it a chance. I'm sure some people
I'm glad that she actually pointed this out. You see, even content creators who make content on Genshin are realizing how fucking toxic this community is. It's like, you can't even have an opinion. Realize how they want you to love the story no matter what. It's insane, bro. Like, if you go on any Reddit, any Discord, anywhere, right? If you go to a Genshin Discord server, don't even fucking do that. You're dumb if you do that. If you decide to go to a Genshin Discord server, say goodbye. But every time you express your opinion on this game, and if it's not positive or if you're just criticizing the game, they all respond the same way. You're a hater, you're drama farming, you're rage baiting. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're not allowed to dislike the story. You have to love the story. And if you don't love it, you're just a hater. You don't understand the true lore of this game. It's fucking crazy, bro.
people fall into that. But personally, I enjoyed the early acts of Natlan Arc Conquest, which may be part of why the final one just flopped so badly for me. I have serious problems with its pacing, feel that it dove headfirst into many of the traps I detailed in my recent video covering the flaws of Genshin storytelling, and feel that its plot has some serious issues. But even outside of those more technical complaints, I feel like this story was just not for me. me. They set up some interesting concepts early on: a compelling antagonist who shares the same goals as the protagonist but cannot agree to the same methods, a group of heroes from different tribes working together to save their nation from destruction, an overconfident leader who may be reckless in pursuit of her goals, but none of the parts which hooked me in came to fruition. Capitano was
Exactly.
sidelined.
That's a good way to put it. It's like they have the foundation, they have the blueprint, but the execution is poor. The execution is absolutely poor. Like, because I feel like we can all agree that one of the main reasons why we're hyped for characters like Capitano is because of the story, right? That's one of the reasons why. The story isn't the main reason, it's one of the reasons why. It could be gameplay, it could be his design, it could be anything. But story is one reason why. And that's good. But the problem is the execution, the way that they execute the story, the storytelling is just completely horrible. And they just fill their entire quest with unnecessary dialogue. And by the time you reach an important part of the quest, you're just like, yeah, I'm fed up. I don't even feel like playing this shit anymore because it took me this long just to get to the main part of the story, right? I had to go through all of these unnecessary dialogue just to actually figure out what's going on. It's insane, bro. It's insane.
line for the majority of the climax, and then came in as a deus ex machina with an ultimately unsatisfying conclusion in the end, which threw away all of his vast potential for interesting stories in an eye blink. The heroes never felt like a cohesive unit, and few of them got any depth of characterization. There's little chemistry between them, aside from a few pairings like Molani and Kachina. There's no intertribal conflict or rivalry to spice things up, and in the end, their presence was reduced to some awkward platitudes spoken to build up the traveler's legend. Mavoika turned out to just have everything figured out. Every action she takes has the best possible outcome, she makes no mistakes, and she just has no need for growth or change. And don't get me started on how much I dislike the ethos which states that lack of fear equates to courage and encourages people to see death in battle as the ultimate goal in life. There's so much to unpack here which could have been explored in Natlan, and it's sad that they just treated this idea as unquestioned gospel. In the end, I'm glad that the finale did work for many people. If you're one of those people and you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my experience with it, even if you disagree. I hear that for many fans of shonen story tropes, it felt like a great example of the climax of one of their favorite story archetypes. For me, it fell short even on that, plus I just can't get excited about a climax without the build-up. But if it works for some, then at least there's some positive to come out of it. Either way, the sharp turn in the storytelling in this final act has, unfortunately, left me feeling much unease about the future of Genshin's story. For me, Natlan fell well short of the very high bar set in Fontaine and Sumeru thanks to my dislike for the ending, and while it was still streets ahead of the other three nations, if Act 5 points towards a new direction in the narrative, then I'm afraid my enjoyment of it may end up failing completely. And that's nothing to say about my general feelings about some of the character designs that feel wildly out of place, as well as the seeming shift in target audience. But more—
You guys hear that? The character designs feel out of place. I'm telling y'all, bro. I'm telling y'all. We're just gonna end the video right there. Let me go ahead and like her video. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to her channel. But yeah, this was a great video overall. She covered really, like, she went over one of the main things a lot of people complain about when it comes to Hoyover's games, how it's so much fucking yapping. Now, I will say, Zenless Zone Zero is probably the exception because I haven't seen a lot of people complaining about the story for ZZZ, so I'm not going to include ZZZ in this. But HSR, Genshin, they both have the same issue. They both have the same problem. The story has potential to be good. They have the blueprint. It's just the execution is dog shit. It's terrible. The fact that the beginning of Act 5 was just a fucking party, it's like, come on, bro. We just we just had a war, and like, sure, there's nothing wrong with celebrating, but you guys are about to go fight the Abyss again, right? The Power Archon and Traveler. You guys should be making a plan. Do something. We're gonna party. We're gonna yap. We're gonna talk about something else completely irrelevant. We're gonna do some side quests. It's like, come on, bro. We're doing the Archon quest. We're not doing world quests. We're not doing side quests. We're doing the Archon quest. Now, I want to see the comments real quick. Let me put some music on for y'all. But I want to see the comments real quick to see, the responses. Hopefully, she doesn't receive, some hate from these Genshin chills. Let's read the comments real quick. So this person says, my main frustration with that was that Capitano was built up to be a great character, and his last scene could have been great, amazing, and even more emotional than Fontaine. It didn't cram everything about him in the last 20 minutes and randomly drop his real name in a random dialogue. You see, I agree with that. It's like, Once again, the entirety of the quest would be yapping. It would be 80% yapping, side quests, you doing things that don't even correlate to the main story. But then for the last 20 minutes, that's when they want to go back to the main topic. That's when they want to focus on the Archon quest. And that's when they just cram everything together and the pacing is just shit, right? A lot of people didn't feel, a lot of people didn't enjoy the fight between our Archon and Traveler versus the Abyss. It was underwhelming. Capitano, him dying was just too fast. The reason why that is because 80% of the quest is fucking yapping. 80% of the quest is unnecessary dialogue that doesn't even matter. That's the reason why. Instead of them putting unnecessary dialogue, they should have you know, put Capitano in multiple parts of Act 5 so that people are like, all right, the pacing feels great. We're learning a lot about Capitano. And then once they kill him, people are like, I feel like some people will still be disappointed, but it wouldn't be as bad because, a lot of people actually dislike that shit. It really just comes down to the yapping, bro. Like, they got to balance that shit out. Not even balance it. Like, there shouldn't be unnecessary dialogue. There just shouldn't. If it doesn't correlate to the main story, just take that shit out, bro. I'm sorry. I'm doing the main story quest. I'm not doing side quests. We're doing the main story quest. And Wuthering Waves prove that. Wuthering Waves prove that it's possible. Some people would say that unnecessary dialogue creates character. Not true, because for Wuthering Waves 2.0, they stayed on topic. They all stayed on topic. Of course, there are going to be some parts where they're going to say, things that don't even matter, but it happens. Genshin, they take it to the extreme, bro. Like, if you ask a character one question, hey, what did you eat last night? That shit will turn to a fucking side quest. It's gonna be a side quest of you figuring out what Silly ate last night. It's insane, bro. So they need to stop dragging that shit out and actually leave the important parts. Like, they actually need to focus on the Archon quest versus side stuff. Yapping. Like, it's just gonna ruin the quality of the story. Let's read this part. It says, it annoyed me how little Eon-san did. In the main trailer from years ago, they tease all of these cool characters that are going to do a lot in the quest. Lene, Ayaka, Diluc, Ningguang, and Sino. But then when we get to Natlan, Eon-san is just like, there. That's literally what I say. That's what I'm saying, bro. They hype up these characters, and then when you actually see these characters in the story, you get nothing from them. And that's what I said in my video. They introduce all these fucking characters, they gas up the nation, and when you actually get there, it's not what you expected. So that's why I'm saying, like, at this point, bro, I just stopped playing the game, bro, because it's getting to a point where the story is repetitive, the pacing is pretty horrible, and the storytelling is just getting worse and worse and worse. Fontaine gave us some hope. Some people didn't like Fontaine, but it still gave us some hope, right? It gave us some hope. But Natlan, and Natlan is just rock bottom, bro. It really is rock bottom. The nation just doesn't synchronize with the other nations. It feels too modern. The characters just feel out of place. Exploration, they made it annoying on purpose so that you can summon 4 Natlan characters to explore the nation efficiently. There's just so many issues with Natlan. It's not even a joke. And I'm pretty sure that some people said there's like a rumor that for Snezhnaya, they're going to delay it because they want to put in like filler patches in between Natlan and Snezhnaya. So Snezhnaya is probably going to release 2026. Yeah, I'm fucking out of here, bro. I don't have to deal with that shit anymore. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Overall, I'm glad that I didn't play 5.3. Seems like it was a waste of time. So yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's just gonna get worse and worse from here. It's gonna get worse. It's been 4 years. 4 years, no improvements. All the things that we've been complaining about, nothing. No skip button. The story's getting worse. The storytelling is getting worse, and I'll say the story's also getting worse as well. The pacing is bad. Their monetization strategies are getting worse, getting more predatory day by day. You look at 5.3, how they push all the rewards to phase 2. Yeah, I feel like this game, like, it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse. And my advice to you guys: quit the game, man. Just quit the game. If you still enjoy Genshin Impact, by all means, still play the game if you want. But this is for the people who are deciding if they want to continue playing the game or not. if you think that Genshin, like if you're asking yourself, is this game worth it? Me personally, bro, it's not worth it, man. It's just not worth it. You're wasting your time. Once again, tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to her channel. I would really appreciate it. I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Peace.